Well, hello guys, and welcome to my first moveset video. This is one of my favorite Pokemon in the game, but obviously is known as one of the worst Pokemon in the game, and that would be Regigigas. And I would have to say right off the bat that the reason that this is considered such a bad Pokemon is people don't use it right. They look at that marvelous base 160 attack stat, and they say, alright, let's go straight for that, and let's run it 252, 252 plus. And try to pull off a sweep. Well, that would work, and this would probably be Uber's if it weren't for its ability slow start, which makes it painfully hard to get it going. So, don't run it offensive. It's just not designed to be an offensive Pokemon with slow start. Its stats make you seem like it: decent speed, really high attack. It looks like it would be just the greatest tank in the history of the world. But sadly, Game Freak hates it, and they gave it this ability. So don't run it offensively. I can't stress that enough. Run it especially defensively. I've had tons of success with this set in the tier. Granted, I'm not the greatest battler in the world, but it's definitely a good set. Very formidable, very unpredictable, because people always run it offensive, like I said. So everybody gets scared, and they try to get rid of it really quick. They instantly switch out and send in something to try to deal with it. That's when you set up a substitute and go to town with Annoying Them, Thunder Wave, and Knockoff. It's really good if your team needs paralysis support, if your team has trouble dealing with certain threats that abuse items. They tend to bring in their strongest choice item user, because most sets run, Return, Drain Punch, Substitute, and Earthquake or something like that, and they don't expect the knockoff. And once a choice item is knocked off, it can just absolutely go to town. Any choice specs user will be unable to break its substitutes once you knock off the choice specs, and you can easily stall out the turns required to get rid of slow start, and then you can go to town with your uninvested base 356 attack. So yeah, it's an incredibly good set. I definitely recommend it. Don't use it like a standard Regigigas set. Like I said, you want to use it more as an actual special wall. And if you bring it in on, say, a Pyroar, it does a maximum of, I believe, 35% with Fire Blast, if it's choice specs. And once you knock off its choice specs, you will be at enough health that you can make a substitute, and he will then be unable to break it, although he could go for Hyper Voice, so that's a stupid example. But you get the general gist of it. Most choice specs users will be unable to break your substitutes once you knock them off, and choice scarf users obviously aren't powerful enough in the first place to not be able to break your sub. So when you consider this set, I believe it's more bulky than, let me look here really quick, sorry about that, the most common special wall in the tier, or not the most common, but one of the best special walls is Audino, and this is much bulkier than, say, Audino. It's bulkier than Uxie, it's bulkier than, what else is run as a special wall? I mean, I believe it might even be, no, it's not more specially bulky than Regigigas, but it's one of the most specially bulky Pokemon in the tier. You can run it physically defensive if you really want, but with a bunch of offensive fighting types like Sock in the tier, I would not recommend it, and you want to pair this up with something that can handle that. I recommend Musharna is a perfect Pokemon to run with this. It has Heal Bell to shrug off the status that Regigigas will accumulate because it's too slow to put up its substitutes before things. It has equivalent of what base 1, yeah, it has like 116, 119 attack, or 119 speed. So that's pretty pathetic. The first 5 turns, there's not much that you're going to outspeed before you set up a substitute, so but like I said, most people will not try to stall out Regigigas because they expect it to be offensive. They want to get rid of it as soon as possible. But if somebody is smart enough to put a Toxic on you or something, you want to have Musharna or, some other sort of medic type thing, healer, to get rid of status. Plus that also is a fairly good check to Sock. If it's choice banded and it predicts right and goes for a knockoff or something, then Musharna is in a bit of trouble. But every team should definitely have a check, or at least a check to Sock, because it's just such a threat, and I don't think it should be in the tier at all. But that is a different topic for a different video. So the moveset, pretty simple. Substitute That's the most important move on any Regigigas set. Every Regigigas has to run Substitute. Because slow start, you want to stall off as many turns as you possibly can. Thunder Wave, again, for stalling turns and for just general utility of Thunder Wave. After a Thunder Wave, you outspeed most things in the tier, pretty much everything in the tier. And then once it's T-waved, you can either switch out if you know it's going to be able to break your Substitute, and then switch into a slower, more defensive threat that can easily handle it and take it out. Or if it is a weak special attacker and can't break your substitutes, you just go for knockoffs and returns for days. And once your slow start wears off, you have 356 attack to just go to town with. You can, if you want to change the set around a little bit, you can, experiment with, say, Earthquake, Drain Punch. I think those are the only other two options that really are viable. I guess you could run Iron Head just to have a Parafusion or a Paraflinch combo going on, but I really wouldn't recommend changing the moveset all that much, just because this definitely works. I guess you could maybe run Toxic over Thunder Wave. I don't know. I wouldn't recommend changing the set. If you want to run it more offensive, look up an offensive set. But the especially defensive set works really well. I've done some calculations, and there aren't very many special attackers that can overpower this set in the tier. If I were to actually look through it, I don't think I could find one right off the bat that can break through it. I guess Pyroar can if it goes for Hyper Voice, but like I said, it doesn't want to lose its choice specs. It will definitely lose its choice specs because it can't even get a 3-hit KO on Regigigas. So pretty much any choice specs user, any offensive Life Orb user, once they lose that extra power from you knocking off their item, you're pretty much free to go for substitutes all day, every day. And you can really easily stall out the turns, and yeah. So hopefully you guys put this to use. I don't see Regigigas being used nearly enough in the tier. I'm actually, like I said, kind of scared to show you guys this moveset because it really surprised me how good it was. I was just trying to come up with some viable way to use Regigigas, but this works very well. So I would recommend trying it out. Just don't try it out on me because it's really terrifying to face. I guess if you want to know how to counter it, just hit it hard with fighting types right off the bat, because with slow start, there's no way that it's going to be able to one-hit any fighting type in the tier with anything before slow start wears off. But like I said, you want to be very careful because Thunder Waves will be coming your way, substitutes will be coming your way, and general annoyances. I guess if you send in a physical ground type, that is a good way to counter this set, just because obviously can't get paralyzed and can't most of them are physically defensive, so it's not going to be able to. They're not going to be able to do anything to it. But beware, you will lose your item most likely because this Regigigas just doesn't give a fuck. So hopefully you guys enjoyed, and hopefully you guys put the set to use. If you found it useful, or if you have any changes that you could recommend, or other ways to successfully use Regigigas, put them in the comments below. But other than that, hopefully you enjoyed, and I will see you next video with a session where hopefully I will be putting this to good use. Peace.